So I'm Catriona Pollard. I have been weaving for 15 years now. I started weaving as a way of dealing with the stress of my insanely stressful PR agency. And I have always loved foraging. I grew up out in the country and I spent a third of my life in a tent in a national park by the time I left home. So my bedroom, as you can imagine, was just sticks and stones and all these little installations. And so when I wanted to find something that was a creative outlet, basketry was something that I was just drawn to. But I wasn't interested in the precise element of basketry. I was interested in the techniques and then applying my storytelling role, which is what my life really is. And then this idea of exploration and play and how organic material brings energy to wherever it is. And so I see myself as a conduit to be able to tell the stories of the material. And it's a really precious a gift that I feel like I can explore. It's something that brings a lot of joy. And I hope my work brings a lot of joy as well. Because for me, all of my work is about environmental issues. And for me, I feel like if we actually just focus on the negative, it becomes just all too hard. Mm-hmm. And so the aspect of bringing in beauty and joy and the storytelling to how we can impact the climate and how we can impact the environment around us actually brings hope. So this material on this side is 5-leaf water vine, which is an Australian species, but it's invasive. And so land care comes in and it grows up a tree, takes over the canopy of the tree, or the entire tree, and they just cut at the bottom and then just leave it to die. And so then I go in and just take off the pieces that they've already cut. And the first stage of is for me to actually, while I'm there, putting it into a general shape. And then I will come back into the studio and spend time with it and then decide in conjunction with it what story we want to tell. And the black is actually handmade pigment from charcoal dust, which is an byproduct of the mining industry. So I've, over the years, have created a way of being able to create that pigment. And this is a looping technique, which is very different to a traditional looping technique. It's my interpretation of looping, which has been around since basically the beginning of humanity, when humans were on the sides of the lakes and figuring out how to carry berries from one place to the other. It's as ancient as that. And basketry actually really hasn't changed since then, and the traditional part of it, and it's across every single culture on the planet as well. And the copper I use is recycled copper. So I dumpster dive at the metal recycling place. And if the men are in a good mood, they'll pull everything out for me so I can find a specific type of wire that I'm looking at. Often it's just what's there. And that's the whole idea about this work. It's with organic material, it's not imposing my will on it. It's about working together. And that's, for me, what the environment, the stories from the environment is not imposing our will on it. It's about actually working together with it. And on the other side, these just look so beautiful. It's so beautifully curated, honestly, Nicole. So I'm so happy that they're here. So I'm about to have my 11th solo exhibition, and people say, why do you do so many solo exhibitions? It's actually for this reason, because my work actually, they have a relationship with each other across the room. They start chatting with each other, and it's just such a beautiful, as an artist, it's such a beautiful thing to experience. So this material is called smilax, and same thing, grows up trees and takes over trees, and it's Australian native. I mainly use Australian native. And I went bushwalking at the Kurungai, this is really hard to find, in the Kurungai wildflower garden, and I saw so much. And I went and asked if I could collect it, and the head gardener went, yeah. And so I went out there all, because this is like wire. I have scars all up my arms from weaving it, and now I cover myself. So I went out like completely covered. I think I was going to be there the whole day, but he went, oh, jump in the ute. We'll go down. And so, you know, it was a very joyous day because I had a ute. Which is smilax. When I took back into the studio. And so I love the forms of cocoons. Cocoons for me is about growth, it's about exploration, it's about what is going to come out. And for me, the work that I do, I very rarely have an idea about the shape. Like for these, I might have an idea that I'm going to do a cocoon shape, but I will have no idea what the actual shape is going to be. I've been doing it for 15 years, so obviously you have to have a lot of skill to be able to do it, but it's also that co-creation. And this beautiful piece, which is one of my all-time favorite pieces, and it won an award actually in Environmental Art Prize, that's called Deep in the Forest, Their Fairies Sleep. And I made that right in the middle of COVID. I was artist in residence in the Northern Beaches, and my studio was out at Orambu. And I just imagined that we were going through this very human experience where our whole lives were turned upside down, but all of the animals and the trees, they just kept on living their lives. And I imagined, because it was in the forest, it was in the bush, like the fairies deep in the forest. They were just living their lives, nothing had changed. And so this work I did over a few days, sitting out in the bush. So and it was one of those ones when I stepped back. It was these perfect dimensions, it was almost like it was channeled work. So that's my work. Great. Thank you.